Well, big changes are blowing across the central U.S., and that's going to be the focus for a few days worth of possible severe weather in the central parts of the country. So we have a big upper level trough moving across the west. This is basically cold air in the middle of the atmosphere, and surface cold front too moving in pretty quickly behind the system. Ahead of it, big southerly push of air through the lower and mid levels, bringing moisture and record-breaking heat across the central U.S. the last few days. We are going to see moisture really pool along that cold front too. Dew points will increase. They've been kind of on and off humid across parts of the central and northern plains, but will increase a little bit today. We see that moisture kind of pool along the cool front. And for this time of year, pretty substantial. In fact, 2 to 3 times the normal value of moisture content, mainly due to that record or near record heat that we're seeing in the northern and central plains. So pretty wide and broad area of severe weather risk today from Texas all the way into southwestern Minnesota, lining up along that front, even an enhanced risk of severe weather Nebraska into Kansas. This is the area that we'll see the best chance of seeing some tornadoes develop today. Everywhere else, it's a wind and hail threat. And then tomorrow, that focus shifts into mostly Texas and Oklahoma, but you can see the risk of any thunder really kind of follows along that cold front as it moves east and will kind of stay there over the next few days until another reinforcing shot of even colder air moves in at the end of the week, which could create a new round of severe weather potential Friday into the weekend for parts of especially the central and southern plains where there will still be some heat and moisture. So breaking down today's risk a little bit more, again, that tornado risk is primarily in Kansas and Nebraska. Everywhere else, it's a large area of potential wind and especially hail in that same area where we have that tornado risk. Some large hail is going to be possible with some of those supercells that develop. Jet stream wrapping around that upper level trough, so we've got some strong winds aloft. This will create plenty of shear and in the favorable part of the jet stream here right across Nebraska and Kansas. So that area of highest shear will be right there, right at the best timing of the day, 4, 5, 6 p.m. That's when we'll see some initial supercells develop and then a potential line of storms that'll be producing some strong winds. So significant tornado parameter, not off the charts, not a huge area, but it does line up with that mostly Kansas, central Kansas into Nebraska area. And behind this all too, mid-levels, punch of some very dry air. That brown is very low relative humidities in the middle of the atmosphere, about 10,000 feet up, coming in behind those storms. So that's what will help to produce some of those severe wind gusts. You get that dry air moving into the middle of a storm. The moisture evaporates, that air cools even more, plummets to the ground. So pretty large swath of possible high wind gusts today from basically Oklahoma all the way into southwestern Minnesota as we head into the late afternoon, evening, and overnight hours. So the storms will be developing right at that peak heating of the day. These are the storms that'll be potentially those supercells initially and then kind of forming into a bow here as we head into the evening and overnight hours, kind of fizzling out though as it moves a little further east. So eastern Minnesota and areas into Wisconsin, Missouri, less chance of severe weather. But then tomorrow we're looking at strong storms developing on the southern flank of this front into Texas and Oklahoma. And again, a pretty large area of some high wind gusts and likely large hail as well in the central western Texas into western Oklahoma as we head into Wednesday. But again, we'll be watching for the end of the week and the weekend for potentially more severe weather as more cold air dives into the central U.S.